All right, let's start with a scenario that I think is going to feel uncomfortably familiar to a lot of people listening. You're doing everything right. You're answering every email, you're staying late, you're grinding, climbing that ladder. But when you actually look at your bank account, or maybe more importantly, your freedom, the needle just isn't moving. You're just tired.
It is the classic modern paradox, isn't it? We're conditioned to believe that output equals input.
Mm-hmm.
If you want more money, well, you just input more hours. But today, we're looking at a source that essentially argues that if you are solving for wealth by renting out your time, you've already lost the game.
Before you've even started, which
Yeah.
is a terrifying thought to start the morning with, but a necessary one. Today, we are doing a deep dive into the Almanack of Naval Ravikant. And I have to say, even the format of this thing is unusual.
Oh, yeah.
It isn't a book Naval sat down to write in some cabin in the woods.
No, not at all. It's a curation. It's a collection of his tweets, podcast transcripts, essays. I mean, this guy is sort of the philosopher king of Silicon Valley. And it was all compiled by Eric Jorgenson.
Who, I noticed in the notes, describes himself as being on a personal journey to craft the ideal sandwich.
A mission I can get behind.
A mission I respect immensely.
It's a noble pursuit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jorgensen took this scattershot wisdom years of Naval's output and just organized it into a coherent guide. And the mission for this deep dive is to unpack the specific formula he lays out.
And it really is a formula.
It is. He treats wealth creation not as luck and definitely not as magic, but as a skill.
Right. He actually makes this claim that if he lost all his money and you dropped him on a random street in any English-speaking country, he'd be wealthy again in 5 to 10 years.
Because he knows the algorithm.
Exactly.
And that algorithm, it starts with a hard pivot on definitions. We have to distinguish between wealth, money, and status.
Yeah.
Because people mix them all up, but they're very different games.
Money is just how we transfer wealth, right? It's just the credits.
Correct. Money is the medium. Status, well, that's your ranking in the social hierarchy. It's a zero-sum game. For me to be number one, you have to be number two. But wealth, Naval defines wealth specifically as assets that earn while you sleep.
And this brings us right to the core problem with the, let's call it the wage cage, the 9-to-5 grind.
That's the foundational lesson. Naval is adamant you cannot get rich renting out your time. Even if you're a high-paid lawyer or a specialist doctor billing, say, $500 an hour, you're still renting your time.
You're just renting it at a higher rate.
Exactly.
Because if you stop working, the money stops. If you get sick.
The money stops. Precisely. You are trapped in this linear equation. Inputs equal outputs. To make more, you have to work more.
But humans don't scale.
We don't. You need to sleep, you get sick, you want a vacation. If your income is tied to your physical presence, you will never be free. You'll just be a well-paid employee of yourself.
So the alternative has to be equity, ownership.
Equity is the only escape. You have to own a piece of a business. Ownership is what disconnects your inputs from your outputs. It lets the machine keep running while you're off doing something else.
It creates a non-linear outcome.
Right.
Okay. But I can hear the listener asking, and I'm kind of asking this myself, does that mean hard work doesn't matter? Because the internet is just full of these passive income scams,
Oh, yeah.
They promise you can get rich doing absolutely nothing. Is Naval saying we should just sit around and wait for equity to fall in our laps?
Not at all. And he's very, very careful here. He's not saying don't work hard. He's saying the direction matters more than speed.
Right. If I'm running a marathon at record speed, but I'm running toward a cliff, my hard work is actually killing me.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
He argues that most people just grind without a compass. They work incredibly hard at the wrong things. Naval suggests you should spend more time thinking about what to work on, who to work with, and when to execute, rather than just blindly clocking in the hours.
So it seems like he places a huge premium on judgment.
Yes. The ultimate goal is to get paid for your judgment, not your manual labor. You want to be the person who steers the ship, not the person rowing below deck.
Because the person rowing is replaceable.
Completely.
Yeah.
But the person who knows the destination and creates the map is not.
Okay, so let's get practical. We know we need equity. We know we need to stop renting our time. But how do we actually generate that value? This brings us to the concept of leverage. And I feel like leverage is a buzzword that gets thrown around a lot, but Naval breaks it down into 3 very specific categories.
He does, and the evolution of these categories is really a history lesson in how wealth has been created over centuries.
Just let's walk through them. Level 1, labor.
This is the oldest form. Simply humans working for you. The pharaohs use this to build pyramids, right? You hire 10 people, you get 10 times the output.
But Naval doesn't seem to like this one very much. He calls it messy.
Oh, he hates it. He calls it a status trap. People love to say, I manage 500 employees because it sounds impressive at a dinner party.
Sure.
But labor is incredibly difficult. Humans have egos, they have bad days, they have complex motivations, they need management. It is just high-friction leverage.
It's almost like you're taking on everyone else's problems as your own. So you might have leverage, but you definitely don't have peace of mind.
None.
Okay, so that's labor. Level 2 is capital.
Money. This was the dominant leverage of the 20th century. Think of Warren Buffett. If you have $1 billion, you can buy factories, machines, marketing. You can scale massively.
And money doesn't complain.
It doesn't complain and doesn't take sick days.
Yeah.
Capital is a fantastic form of leverage.
But there is a gatekeeper.
Exactly. To use capital leverage, you need capital. You either need to be rich already, or you need a bank or an investor to give you permission. It's a gated system.
You have to convince someone to give you the keys.
Which brings us to the third form, the new leverage. And this is the one that really matters for everyone listening right now because it completely changed the game.
This is the holy grail.
It is. Naval calls it products with no marginal cost of replication.
Okay, that's a bit of a mouthful. Let's break that down.
It just means things you create once that can be copied 1 million times for essentially zero cost. We're talking about code and media.
So this very conversation, this deep dive.
Exactly. We are recording this once. It takes us, what, an hour? But whether 10 people listen or 10 million people listen, the cost to us is roughly the same.
The file just gets duplicated.
Right. And the same goes for writing software. You write the code for an app one time, and 100 million people can download it.
And the key difference here versus money or labor is permission.
It is permissionless.
Yeah.
This is the revelation. You do not need a boss's approval to write a Python script. You do not need a venture capitalist to start a YouTube channel or write a book.
Yeah.
You can be one person in your bedroom with a laptop, and you can leverage an army of robots, which is what servers essentially are, to work for you 24/7.
I love that image, the army of robots. It really drives home the point that code is just labor that doesn't complain and doesn't sleep.
And it democratizes wealth. It means the barrier to entry isn't money anymore, it's skill and creativity. If you can write code or create content, you have leverage that used to be reserved for billionaires.
But that raises the next logical question, right? If everyone has a laptop and everyone can write code or start a media channel, aren't we just competing with the entire world now? The marketplace is so crowded. How do you win in a permissionless market?
This is where Naval pivots to the concept of specific knowledge. And this is crucial, because if you just try to do what everyone else is doing, you will get crushed.
Specific knowledge. This is different from just going to school and getting a degree, right?
Completely different. Naval has this great line, if you can be trained for it, you can be replaced. Yeah. If there's a standardized curriculum for your job, like a certification or a degree, that just means there's a supply of other people who know exactly what you know.
You are a commodity, and commodities get paid the lowest possible price.
Yes. Specific knowledge, on the other hand, is usually found by looking back. Looking at your childhood or your genuine obsessions. What were you doing when you were 10 years old? What are you curious about that just bores other people?
The litmus test he gives is, it feels like play to you, but looks like work to others.
That is the key. Think about that dynamic. If you're doing something that feels like play, you can do it for 16 hours a day. You don't burn out. But if someone else is trying to compete with you just for the money, it feels like work to them. They'll eventually quit. You will win simply by endurance because you are enjoying the process.
This leads to what you call the authenticity paradox. I think for a long time, business advice was fake it till you make it, or dress for the job you want. It was all about conforming to a mold.
Right.
Naval seems to suggest the exact opposite.
He says, no one can compete with you on being you. And it sounds like a, generic motivational poster, but it's actually a strategic moat.
Can we use the musician example from the notes? I think that explains it really well.
Sure. Think of a generic session musician. They play the notes perfectly. They're technically proficient, but they're replaceable, right? If they call in sick, you just get another one.
Sure.
But then think of an artist, I don't know, someone with a unique voice, their own backstory, their weird interest, their philosophy.
You can't replace them. You can't compete with them because they're the only ones offering that specific mix of things.
Exactly. When you combine that specific knowledge with leverage code or media, You create a career that is unique to you. You are a niche of one, and in a niche of one, there is no competition.
So the formula starts to look like this. Find what feels like play to you. That's your specific knowledge. Build it using code or media, which is your leverage, and then use your judgment to steer the whole thing.
Precisely. And that allows you to capture a piece of the value you create, which is the equity we talked about.
I want to shift gears a bit because the Almanack isn't just a manual for your bank account. It's also a manual for how to deal with other people. Naval talks a lot about compound interest, but not just for money.
Right. We all get compound interest in finance.
Yeah.
Your money makes money. But Naval applies this to reputation and to relationships. He says you should play long-term games with long-term people.
Which sounds nice, but in the cutthroat business world, isn't that a little naive? I mean, sometimes you can make a quick buck by burning a bridge.
You can, but you can only do it once.
Mhm.
Naval argues that in any industry, everyone talks to everyone. If you screw someone over, your reputation basically resets to zero.
Mm.
But if you're known as someone who is ethical, who delivers, who's fair, that trust compounds over time.
The friction disappears. People start bringing deals to you.
Yes. He mentions his relationship with Elad Gil. They've done deals together for years. They don't need these 50-page contracts for everything because the trust capital is already so high. It makes business faster and easier.
And there's an important distinction he makes about ethics here. He doesn't seem to care much about your intentions.
No, he takes a very cold, rational view of it. He says actions are what matter. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? You are defined by what you do.
Right.
Ethical behavior isn't about feeling good inside. It's about consistent actions that build trust over decades. If you act unethically, you're just declaring that you're playing a short-term game. You're cashing out your reputation for a quick win.
Okay, so let's zoom out. We have the specific knowledge, we have the leverage, we've built the equity, the reputation, we're wealthy. Now what? Is the goal just to sit on a pile of gold like a dragon?
This is where the book shifts from tactical to philosophical. And frankly, this is my favorite part. The money is not the goal. The goal is freedom. And specifically, solving for happiness.
He has a definition of retirement that I absolutely loved because it has nothing to do with turning 65.
No, it's not. Age 65, Florida golf course. Naval says retirement is when you stop sacrificing today for an uncertain tomorrow.
Wow, that's a heavy concept. When the day is complete in itself.
It means you aren't working for the weekend. You aren't working for the retirement party. You are just present. And he outlines 3 ways to get there.
Let's run through them.
Path 1 is the standard one. Save enough money so your passive income covers your burn rate. The whole FIRE movement. You buy your freedom with cash.
2.
The monk approach. You drive your expenses down to 0. If you desire nothing, you don't need to earn anything. You become free by removing the chains of want.
Valid, but hard to do if you have kids or you just like nice things.
True. Which leaves path 3. You find work that is so fulfilling, it feels like play, you would do it for free. In this state, you're retired even while you're working because you aren't sacrificing the present for a future reward.
The work is the reward.
Exactly.
This focus on the present moment seems to be the spiritual core of the whole book. It's almost a Buddhist take on capitalism.
It is. Naval is obsessed with the nature of time. He points out that the past is just memory traces in your brain right now. The future is just a simulation you're running in your brain right now.
The only thing that actually exists is this exact second.
That's it. And yet we spend 99% of our mental energy regretting the past or being anxious about the future.
That is the source of misery.
Yeah. He brings up the second law of thermodynamics entropy. Everything is moving toward disorder. We're all aging. He has this haunting line, "You will never be lovelier than you are now."
Oof. That hurts, but it's true. It really forces you to look at your priorities.
It's a call to action. Stop waiting. If you're thinking, I'll be happy when I get the exit or I'll be happy when I buy the house, you're training yourself to be unhappy. You're training your brain to live in the future.
Right.
Wealth is just a tool to remove the obstacles that keep you from sitting quietly in the present.
So how do we actually train our brains to do this? Because it's easy to say be present, but my brain is usually a chaos machine. Naval offers some tactical habits to help quiet the noise.
He does. He's a huge proponent of reading and meditation, but he approaches them differently than most self-help gurus do.
With reading, he says something that made me feel a lot better about my own habits. It's okay to not finish books.
Yes. He treats books like blog posts. If it's boring, skip it. If a chapter is dull, jump ahead. He says reading should be for you, not for social approval.
Right. Don't read the bestsellers just so you can sound smart at a cocktail party.
Exactly. He advocates for reading the foundational stuff.
Hmm.
Science, math, microeconomics, game theory. These are principles that don't change.
Hmm.
If you understand the basics deep down, you can navigate any new trend. It's better to read the same great book twice than to read two mediocre books.
And on meditation, I feel like meditate is the advice everyone gives, but nobody explains why it works physically. Naval actually breaks it down biologically.
Yes, he demystifies it completely. He explains that we have an autonomic nervous system, the stuff that happens automatically like digestion, heart rate.
Right.
And we have a voluntary nervous system, moving our arms, talking.
And they are usually separate. I can't just will my heart to stop beating.
Except for one thing, breath. Breathing is the only thing that is both automatic and voluntary. You can control it, or you can just let it happen.
So the breath is the bridge.
It's the bridge. By controlling your breath-deep, slow rhythms, you send a physical signal back to your autonomic nervous system saying, we are safe, we are calm. It shuts down the fight-or-flight response.
He mentions Wim Hof.
He does, yeah. Using breath and cold exposure to literally hack your immune system. It's not just spiritual, it's physiological maintenance.
So if we step back and look at the whole picture here, Naval is basically handing us a system. It starts with the cold, hard math of wealth, and it ends with the peace of mind of a monk.
It's a cohesive worldview. You start by identifying your specific knowledge, the stuff that feels like play. You wrap that in permissionless leverage code or media so it scales. You use judgment to steer the ship. You play long-term games to build a reputation.
And you do all of this not to buy a Ferrari, but to buy your time back, to reach that state where you aren't sacrificing today for tomorrow.
That is the synthesis. Effective action leads to stillness.
Before we sign off, I want to leave the listener with two thoughts from the source material that really stuck with me. These are the ones I'm still chewing on.
There are two great ones. The first is about the shelf life of ideas. Inspiration is perishable. Act on it immediately.
I feel that one. You have a great idea in the shower, you don't write it down, and by lunch, the magic is gone.
The energy just dissipates. You have to capture the lightning when it strikes. And the second thought is about identity. Naval says, you're dying and being reborn at every moment. It's up to you whether to forget or remember that.
Dying and being reborn. It sounds heavy, but it's actually incredibly hopeful. It means you aren't stuck being the person you were yesterday.
You can drop the baggage. You can choose a new direction right now.
Well, on that note, we hope this deep dive helps you find that direction. Thanks for listening.